Now, what does it mean to have $1 million website? Well, today on the show, you are going to find out. Danielle Connor, who is the CEO and founder of $1 Million Websites, shares with us how we can create a website that aligns with our brand and helps us scale our business. She shares with us key ways your website can generate consistent leads in your business. Not only that, we take it a step further and talk about how to best manage our time and be the actual CEO in our business. Get ready because this episode is packed with so many helpful tips that you can apply to your website and your business today. Now let's get into the episode. Now, if you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to like and subscribe so you never have to miss an episode. Hello, Danielle. How are we doing today?
Good. I'm doing great.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show because when I heard about having $1 million website, honey, I said, ooh, who doesn't want to make $1 million?
Of course, all of us.
Yes. So let's talk about that. I really want to know, you really pride yourself of creating $1 million websites for your clients. And so what does it mean to have $1 million website?
$1 million website is a website as unique as my clients are. I work with women who are established in their businesses and they are showing up as the experts that they are. And when people land on their website, it's not doing them any favors. And so $1 million website is one that really just showcases them as that unique expert in their industry. And it's one that lets them show up confidently in their business and really sets them up for success long-term.
So what would you say then the difference is between a revenue generating website and a non-revenue generating website?
Yeah, definitely. So again, leaning back into this $1 million website, it's one that's really tailored to who you are. I don't want just a cookie cutter website. You as a business owner and all of my clients are so full of personality and what makes them shine and what makes them different. And I really want to bring that forth on your website. And then you're building that know, like, and trust factor. And most of us have heard of that term already, but it's so important because when people find you on social media and then they go to your website, if your website is kind of like a mediocre website, it's not consistent with your social media, you're breaking that know, like, and trust factor. When we want people to land on your website and just gasp because they're like, oh my gosh, this is so her, this is so them, and it's exactly who I want to work with. Let me, it leaves them begging to work with you. And we do this through really strategic design and copy. And those go so hand in hand. And I'm a designer and today we're focusing on design, but with all of my $1 million websites, we do partner with a copywriter because they just are so integrated with one another. And you want that user journey throughout your website. You want people to know where they're supposed to go, what you do, how you can serve them. You want that clarity on who you're working with and those, I'm getting ahead of myself, but those big, bold buttons. And you just want to make it so easy for people to work with you. And that when they get to the end of the page, they're like, take my money. Like, how can I work with you? And so, yeah, those few things, strategic copy and design really being integrated with one another and bringing forth that really unique brand identity. And I like to say we're fabulous meets function or we're stunning meets strategic. You can't just have one or the other. You can have the prettiest website in the world, but if it's not designed strategically and written for your clients, it's just going to be something pretty that doesn't do what it's supposed to.
Yes. Oh, that's such a good point. And one thing that I'm really curious to know about, especially from a design perspective, right?
Yeah.
Where do you see business owners? And I guess we can even take it a step further too, but where do you see business owners right now with their websites where the common mistakes that they are making, where it's not leading to leads, right? Like those natural inquiries that's obviously we know SEO in terms of copy, but also too, from that perspective, what are some common mistakes you're seeing business owners that are making?
Yeah, definitely. Again, going back to that brand identity and really having a clear visual identity. You're using the same colors on your Instagram as you are on your website. It's not totally two disjointed things. So when people land on your website, they know that it's the same brand, it's the same person. And then alongside that, something that a hill I will die on is big, bold buttons. I want you to have a call to action, and a call to action is a button, an action that you want people to take above the fold on your website. So that's as soon as someone lands on your website, before they even start scrolling, I want it to be crystal clear who you are, how you serve your audience, and how they can work with you. So whether that's find out more about my $1 million website, or let's get started, or book a call, there's something there for them to do. And then the same thing at the end of every page, I want there to be a call to action, because otherwise you leave people high and dry. And it's already so hard to keep people's attention these days. And so when they get to the end of your website page and they're scrolling, I want it to be so easy and clear to them what that next step is, whether it's filling out an application form or booking a call with you. Just make it so easy and make it so that the only thing people can see there is that that big, bold, clear button that is just screaming, click me.
Yeah. And so one thing that you talked about is just really brand identity, right? And I think that's
Yes.
just such a foundational piece of business that, you know, I think when I remember when I first put together my website, that was the biggest thing. My thing is for business owners who have been in the game for a little bit, right?
Yes.
What are some ways that we can always be either checking in with our brand identity, or just always staying on top of our brand identity,
Yeah.
or, because I have absolutely had this experience where, and I realized it was my brand identity was when I had realized that my brand had evolved and I stopped getting
Yeah.
inquiries because like just the needs change
100%.
everything. And so I guess that's the question I have for you essentially is like, as business owners, how do we know what are some signs when our brand isn't evolving, or how do we check in more with our brand identity just to make sure that we're always being consistent, if that makes sense?
Yeah, 100%. I think you hit the nail on the head when you stop getting inquiries. There's that
Mm,
disjointedness of you're showing up
mm,
somewhere else differently. And I think
mm,
something, I love pink. I've got pink in my dress today. I've got,
mm,
I unintentionally wear like head to toe pink all the time. And people, when they meet me in person, they're like, oh, you're the same person across all of your platforms, whether it's your
mhm,
website, whether it's social media, whether it's in person, like you are your brand. And of course, my business is a very personal brand. That's not going to be the same necessarily if you have a product business or something else, but I still want to see that personality come through. And so
mm,
I think, again, telltale sign if you're not getting those inquiries, if you just feel like you've outgrown your brand, you get that kind of nagging sense that it doesn't really represent who you are, and you don't feel like you're showing up 100% as you across everything, or like you've gone past your brand, you're more of an expert and your website is holding you back. I think coming back to who your audience is and who you're serving. For example, I just had a conversation this morning on a mastermind call, and this woman was saying, she's working with clients that are earlier on in their businesses. And so obviously that's going to be slightly different than if you're working with, 6, 7 figure business owners. You're going to have
mhm,
a brand identity that's more elevated and really speaks to that next level of client. And
mhm,
most of us, I would say all of us, don't start out working with 7 figure business owners right off the bat, right? We're new. We start with newer business owners. We're, getting our feet wet. And so really getting clear on who you're serving. And then that way you can take a really strategic approach to your brand identity and really make sure that it's ultimately speaking to your ideal clients and really communicating what you can do and how you can serve them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a question I want to add to that too is for those business owners that are wanting to work with 6 figure,
Yeah.
7 figure businesses, how does that strategy change versus, somebody that's been in the game for like just starting out?
Yeah, I think really driving home that consistency. And there's an example of,
Mm,
I'm not going to share any names, but recently I came
mm,
across this business that specializes in helping people sell. And I'm like, oh, cool.
mm,
This is a skill I really want to learn. Let me learn more
mhm,
about it. And the brand identity was so inconsistent across the board. They had like one business name for their email list, and they had a different business name on their website. And then the graphics on their social
mm.
media didn't really match. And they were talking about working with 6, 7 figure business owners. And there's that distrust where I'm like, huh, something doesn't feel right. And I mean, I can pinpoint it because this is what I do, but for most people, it's just that disconnect and a gut feeling where you're like, something doesn't feel right. They're not showing up the same across the board. So what's going on? And ultimately,
Mm.
that's what's going to lead them to then end up working with somebody else because they don't feel that really deep trust that gets built after knowing, liking, and trusting someone.
Yeah, I think it's so important just really being aware of just those details that sometimes
Yeah.
I think as business owners like forget or just don't realize, of really just taking that time to be very intentional, even just to making sure that your domain matches with the emails, right? Like just those
Yeah.
small types of things and consistency in the brand, the text that you're using, the language down that you're using. And I think that's just so important from a branded piece. And I think you always have to check in consistently because again, like we evolve, we're never the same person that we were even yesterday. And so
Yep.
even for myself, like I'm always going back and reviewing like old content just to even
Yeah.
see even recent content, even with me in these interviews. I
Yeah.
always go back to see, I'm like, have I changed the way that I talk now or anything
Yeah.
like that to make sure that it's still, my brand is still consistent, or even with the colors of my brand, using them in different ways, but
Yeah.
still it's still me, where people like know this is Akua. So like when they
Totally.
come to my page, they're getting the same thought. And I think that is, to your point, what you said
Yeah.
earlier, just the biggest compliment of you were exactly the same in person, because I absolutely have had that with a client where we were at an event and they held something together for people, and people said that they were totally different based on the company,
Ooh,
based on
yeah.
who they were. You know what I mean? And it's so true. Like those details truly, truly do matter, right? And I think no matter
100%.
how long you've been in business, it's so key and so important. So
Yeah. And I want to, just one thing I want to say
yes,
too,
no, go
like,
ahead.
I don't want you to get stuck in perfectionism as a
Yes.
recovering perfectionist as well. It can be so easy to go around and around in circles, like color procrastinating, I like to call it, where you're like, I'm going to find the perfect shade of teal, or like, there's a balance, or like, we all have that one opt-in page that links to the wrong thank you page. It's not the end of the world, So I just don't want you to beat yourself up. Yes, there's a limit of like consistency, and those details do matter, but not to the point of prohibiting you from moving forward in your business.
Oh, 1000%. I think
Yeah.
also too, to add to that, I have realized this after my rebranding. Even just having a brand that's really easy for you to use, because I think that's not talked about enough.
Ooh, I completely agree.
It's not talked about enough, where people will be like, yes, I'm rebranding, and they're so excited and they love everything that the designer creates for them, but then they can't replicate it themselves. And so now you're stuck with a brand that you still love, but it's really difficult for you to be innovative, and it's really difficult for you to create content and stuff like that, because you don't necessarily know how to blend things, right? Because you're not a designer. So this second round, when I rebranded, I literally said to my designer, I said, look, I want to make sure it's a brand that I can actually use myself, because the last round I was like, I would try to put stuff together and I didn't like it. And I was like, so then I'd have to keep going to her, and that slows down my workflow, right? Just in general, right? When you have to reach out to somebody else. And so now for this round that I did for my new rebrand, I love it now. I feel much more confident in the brand because I know how to use everything aesthetically. And so I've been able to create a lot more fun things. And so for business owners, I think just in general, whether you're rebranding or doing a rebrand, just starting out, branding out your website, what are some key things that you need to be asking yourself to make sure, right? That, because I got caught up. It was beautiful. I was like, oh my God, I love it so much the first round. And then afterward, when the shiny object, everything's no longer new, I was like, shoot, I'm stuck. Like I'm stuck. So what advice do you have in regards to that?
Yeah, I think it comes back to being true to who you are, because for example, for me, like, my brand is pinks. It's very feminine. Like, that's who I am. It's not hard for me to show up, where I'm working with a client right now who's super fun and eclectic, and we're bringing in some really bright colors into her branding. And like, she just bought some clothes for a photo shoot, and she bought some red pants because that's totally on brand for her. So it's not hard for her to create that consistency. So I think getting really clear on who you are and how you're showing up will then make it easy to be consistent. And then of course, with the actual like Instagram content and that kind of thing, having your designer create some templates for you. So then you have a starting point of, how do I combine this brand and how do I show it? And then again, not overcomplicating things. Like if you're creating a reel where the cover graphic is just a picture and some text, just put the text in one of your brand colors. And that's all good. You don't need to like overcomplicate everything and, have every cover be this like beautifully designed thing. Like, as long as we're bringing it in certain elements, or even in the reel, that you're doing, if you're dressed and have an element of your brand colors, or, my office is pink, so it's very on brand. So if I'm filming something here, again, it's creating that consistency. You don't have this like super light, airy brand, and then you're filming videos in a dark wood paneled basement, right? That's going to create that disconnect there.
Yeah. I think that's just so key. I think progress over perfection. I think as long as you're trying to, again, not getting caught up of like, oh my gosh, I'm not using all of these colors. Like sometimes it's just one color, or or even one element. Or if you have like, a type of texture design, sometimes it's just that, like, it's really, again, it's just creating that consistency in different ways, no matter how much that looks like for you. And I just even going back. Oh, sorry, go on.
Oh, no. Yes. I was just gonna say, especially if you're starting out, keep it to one or two colors. Like for those newer, it's different when you're hiring a designer and you're working with them. We can play with a few more colors. But again, I don't want it to become too many colors that then you don't know how to use. Even if you have a rainbow of colors, you still kind of have a few primary ones that you can stick to and come back to.
Yes. Oh, love that. I think those are just good reminders. And my girl, she made me templates, and I took those templates and made other completely different templates from that. And so again, I think to your point of really just knowing who you are, really being clear in your brand values, really helps make it a lot more easier when you're actually now implementing your brand, whether it's the outfits that you're wearing, the content that you're creating, whatever that looks like. So a question that I do want to ask is, what do you think is the most underutilized page when it comes to websites, especially websites that convert convert that you see doing well? What are pages that the most underrated and underutilized pages that independent business owners are using?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think one thing that drives me bananas is, and this isn't necessarily a page on your website, it can be, but some people have it on a separate platform, is like your link in bio when you click through on Instagram. I want to be able to get to your website. And I think that that's why so many people aren't, excited about their website or proud of it. So they hide it, but then there's no way to get to your website from Instagram. So you just want to be able to like browse and get to, again, build that know, like, and trust factor. And so I think that's a real opportunity to just like add a button. One, add a button that says visit my website. Two, make sure that it's really clear. I've also been to link in bio pages where they have like 100 different links and I'm like, I don't know what to click on. And so that ties back to having those really clear call to actions. Like maybe you have an opt-in, see my services and view my full website. And that's it. And just make it like super simple for people. And then I think back to not necessarily a page specifically, but an area of your website. The beginning above the fold, as soon as someone lands on a page, whether it's your sales page, your about page, your work with me page, I want some kind of button that takes me to do something and makes it really clear. And then same at the bottom of the page, I want another button. And, even in the footer, having your opt-in in the footer or just a repeat of your menu in the footer. And that's become more common practice now, but I still see the occasional footer that like doesn't make use of that real estate. But again, you want to make it really clear for people, like, what do I want them to, what am I doing next? Where do you want me to go? What should I click on?
Yes. That's so important above the fold. Yeah. I think my website is straight to my intensive immediately, like as soon as you get to my homepage. And so, really making it clear of what you want people to do, because you don't want to put it on them to make that, you know what I mean? To figure it out. Like you want to make it again, clear of what exactly it is that you want to do.
Totally.
So I think those are really great reminders, especially with link in bio. I can't stand that either, because I always check their website after I go to whatever they're asking me to do. I'll instantly go to their website, especially if you know that the link in bio is a page for their website.
Yeah.
Which mine is, so they can just go to the menu and hit home. And so, which I want that. I'm like, go look around. You know what I mean? But yes, it drives me crazy if I cannot find it. I will immediately leave. So that's actually a good point. And I think, again, like just being strategic with your link in bio, again, of what you want people to do and just keeping it simple. Simple is always best. So another question that I really want to ask you is that you would talk about just being really passionate about stepping into the role of like being a CEO, right, in their business. So what does exactly look like? What does that look like for you, stepping into the role of CEO in your business?
Yeah, for me, it looks like taking time to work on my business and not always in it. We get so stuck as entrepreneurs, being the technician, being the doer, and not taking time to really step outside and think about where you're going, what you want, who you want to work with, and really thinking of your business as a bigger picture. And most of us started our businesses, as the solopreneur, because we have a certain skill that we are, as myself as a graphic designer, I'm like, oh, I can just freelance graphic design. And, it took me a few years to start to be able to zoom out and really see where I wanted to take my business. And I think that's really what being the CEO of your business is. And it's stepping into this next level and this higher role and just really owning that. I think a lot of us, many of us grew up seeing these old white men as CEOs of companies. And it's like, oh, well, I'm not a CEO. I'm just a solopreneur. And it's like, no, you're the CEO of your business. And there's a level of just like, I just want to cheer everybody on and encourage them to really step into that and own that title.
Yes. And so even as a CEO, just to your point, like we have to create that space to really vision and just see where we're going. So for somebody who, a lot of us are solopreneurs, what does that look like for us? Because, I think a lot of the times and it's different, right? Like obviously having a team and being by yourself, but I feel like with a team, you at least have some luxury to where because you've delegated certain things where you can have that space to step away. But as a solopreneur, how are you able to really manage your time where you are able to do that? Have those, like, to be a CEO in your business?
Yeah, definitely. So I like to do what are called, to preface it, last year I co-hosted a CEO retreat with a business partner of mine, and we had 14 women in Palm Springs come and do this 4-day CEO retreat. And it was just amazing. And we talked about this CEO rhythm and these concepts of having these CEO practices daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually. And so daily, that might look like 30 minutes of journaling and free writing. Weekly, that could look like, it's going to be different for everyone, but these are some basics: checking your marketing and your sales metrics. Monthly, that'll be checking your profit and loss, revisiting your monthly goals. quarterly, what I love to do, and I've been doing this for a few years now, are I call them CEO weekends. And so I usually go away with a girlfriend. I've done them by myself as well, where I go away for a few days. It doesn't have to be far. It can be a staycation somewhere nearby. You rent a little Airbnb, but like out of your house, out of your regular routine, and you give yourself space. I usually with these love to have the first day be something to help me reset my nervous system, because that's really important. And something like going to the spa or getting a massage or doing a yoga class. And then it helps you shift out of this like go, go, go day to day and then into this higher level thinking. And then I can go into like big picture dreaming. One of my big hacks is Post-it sells these giant Post-it notes that you can stick onto the wall, and I'll get all kinds of different Sharpies and just like brainstorm a bunch of different things, whether it's a new program I'm launching or, you know, the goals for next quarter or revisiting a service I'm offering. And so really getting that big picture and just letting myself like dream and be, and just, you know, whether it's reading a new book I've been wanting to have some time to dive into, but just again, stepping out of that day to day. And I know, you know, you mentioned team and not having that time per se if you're not outsourcing, but you can't afford not to. If you don't take the time out of your day-to-day business, you're never going to be able to have that, because it's by doing these big picture dreaming and strategizing. Like that's how you're going to strategize to figure out what your expenses and budget is, and then be able to hire your next team member. Like that's all CEO work, and really giving yourself the space to be able to do that, whether it's, you know, one Saturday a month to start out with, or 30 minutes in the morning. Like it doesn't have to be, you know, I'm taking a week off tomorrow. It's just starting to implement those routines and that time.
Yes. And I think we just have to really reiterate how it's so important to be a CEO in your business. And I know for me, like I do CEO days, you know what I mean? Where like, because I have realized like, and this was earlier in my journey where I wouldn't do that. And then I would come back finally, like maybe like a month later, and I'd be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is off, right? Or like, you know what I mean? It's very, very important to always do that. And so a question that I do have is there a way that we can establish ourselves as CEOs, not only in our business, but also too on our website? As we talked about really creating that $1 million website, like, is there ways that we can just really establish ourselves as a CEO, even on our website where that shows?
Yeah, definitely. I think for sure all the things I just talked about the routines and habits, and really that also helps you step up into a CEO, because, you know, now I'm like, I go on CEO weekends, or I take a CEO day. Like that's just part of it. And then that helps you start to reframe and think of yourself as a CEO. And a little thing that I shifted on my website recently is when I worked with a copywriter to update my about page now says like our founder, Danielle. And so it's taking that look at like, this is a business that I have. And ultimately, you know, for a lot of us, the goal might be to be able to take a step back from your business and have this business be an entity that runs without you. And for that to happen, you need to be in that CEO role. So just even shifting and, you know, talking about we, because the goal is to have a team, and maybe you have a part-time VA, you know, thinking of your business as a separate entity from yourself, and then having that come through in little ways in the copy on your website can be really helpful. And then ultimately, again, it comes back to this brand identity and who you are. And if you are leaning into that confidence and your brand identity is really speaking to the expert that you are, by nature, that's confidence of a CEO is going to start to come across your website as well.
I love that. Yes. I think, again, it's just really important where you don't have to start big, whether that's 30 minutes, like you said earlier, or like I do once a week, but then also to having those quarterly check-ins are just so, so key, because it really does give you that direction of like, where do I actually want this business to go? Where you're running the business isn't running you. And it's so easy to do that when we're just caught up every single day in the busy work and the client work, where all of a sudden our business is running us and not the other way around. So I love that. Oh, sorry. Yes,
I was just going to say, it's so easy to get caught up in the client work, because you're like, that's what pays the bills. Like, I got to do it. I got to do it. But like, if you don't make time for that CEO work, you're never going to do it. And ultimately the client work is going to dry up, because that's what you need to be doing as a CEO work, big picture, to really drive the business forward.
Yes, 1000%. You want to do that before the business dries up, to where like you're creating this consistent flow of income. But it's tough though. It's really tough as a solopreneur, especially. And so, I know you said that obviously, how are you even just managing your time in general as a business owner, right? Like you have your business, you have a life, you know, and so how are you managing your time to where, again, like you're showing up as that CEO in your business?
Yeah. Something that I've started doing recently that really helps is time blocking my days. And this is not a new concept, but having like Tuesdays and Thursdays are client work days. And again, coming back to the perfection, not every week is going to be perfect. It is what it is. But intentionally, I go into the week being like, okay, on Mondays and Wednesdays, this is my time to work on my business. And so whether that's, putting my marketing hat on or CEO time, finances, admin, that kind of thing. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays are time blocked for the client work, branding, websites, all of that. And then during the summer, I'm actually taking Fridays off. And so I'm just having a little bit of that. Again, that's CEO work too, right? Because you need to be able to be in a refreshed, good headspace. And last Friday, I actually ended up booking 2 clients while I was at the beach. And it was great to open my phone on the way back and be like, oh my gosh, I got to relax all day today and there was money coming in. And that's because, and I'm pretty woo, but energetically, I was in alignment and I was showing up as my best self, and the universe, I was able to manifest that because I was showing up. And so, yeah, definitely the time blocking for me has really helped. And then I get up early. I'm a total morning person. And so just having that morning routine to really get my day started and make the most of my day helps too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, just really creating a routine that works best for you. I time block because it's also easier to have that focus time. And because I learned when I was shifting in between tasks throughout the day, I was less productive. So now when I have that dedicated time, it has made such a huge difference. And I'm definitely not a morning person. People are very surprised. I'm more, I'm actually more productive in the evenings, more very alert and everything, more like late afternoons into the evening. So I usually try to do everything like my self-care stuff in the mornings and or like afternoons. But again, I think it just goes to the fact of really creating a routine that really works for you and taking that time to figure that out, so that you can energetically be aligned and show up in a way that's going to really feel good for you, right? Because you're building a sustainable business. So Danielle, I have absolutely loved this conversation. I think a lot of these things are just so key for business owners, again, to be successful, creating that website, being really able to just show up in a way that feels good, and creating a sustainable business. So every question that we'd love to end each episode with is, what do you think is the biggest differentiator between the businesses that succeed and the ones that fail?
Ooh, I think being true to who you are, really owning who you are and showing up in the world exactly how you're meant to be. And that's going to attract the people that are meant to be in your life.
Yes. Oh, you kept it short and sweet, girl. Love it.
Yeah.
I
could go on. I have no problem talking more.
Oh my gosh, I love that. But it's true though. Like, I think, again, like as business owners, we have to really be grounded in our values, really be grounded in who we are, because there's so many things that just pop up and people are doing this and that. And it's like, you just have to really focus on yourself and staying in your own lane. So I think that's just such a great reminder. Absolutely.
And especially now when there's so many things coming at you from so many different angles, like launch a course, do this, do that. It might not be what you're meant to do. And I think really honoring and owning where your passion is and how you best serve your audience and your clients, and really leaning into that and just having that authentic connection. And that's what's going to get you the referrals and the business growth. And people are just going to be attracted to who you are because you are showing up as your true authentic self.
Yes. Oh, love that. Well, everybody that wants to connect with you, where can they find you? How can we support you?
Yeah, Instagram is my main platform. I'm at Danielle _A_Connor, CONNOR, which I'm sure will pop in the show notes. and then my website's danielleconnor.com. And yeah, I'd love to connect. I love connecting with other entrepreneurs and getting to support you. So definitely reach out.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you. Thank you so much, Danielle, for today's conversation. So many great and tangible tips. And for everybody listening, until next time. That ends our episode of the Independent Business Podcast. Everything we've discussed today can be found at podcast.honeybook.com. Head to our website to access for show notes, relevant links, and all of the resources that you need to level up. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast to make sure you never miss our future content. Drop us a review and leave our guests some love on social. And thank you again for listening.